All right, guys, welcome back to Road to 55. This is episode 4, brought to you by Chasing Rings, the podcast. We got Kyle, Luke, Joe, myself, Victor. We're going to be recapping the conference championships from last week. We're going to be previewing the Super Bowl, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Guys, let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into these games. Let's start off with the AFC. Kansas City 38. The Bills 24, Patrick Mahomes showing no signs of injuries. Turf toe, what are you talking about? Concussion, what are you talking about? The man was an animal. He was doing his thing. 29 for 38, 325, 3 touchdowns, a QBR of 137. I mean, the kid is unreal. Guys, give me some takes about this game. Luke, anything surprising you saw in this game?
No, not really. I mean, I thought the Bills offense was going to be a little more explosive and sort of exploit Kansas City's defense, but I was right. You were wrong. Kansas City's defense was definitely better than I projected. I think that
they only ran 18 times too.
Well, that's the thing. I think the Bills were their offense has not struggled, but it's changed dramatically since Moss has been out. Like missing Moss has hurt them a lot because Singletary clearly can't carry the load anymore. Like Moss is their back of the future, and that definitely hurt them. Like not being able to run the ball sunk them, in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems to be a little weird because Moss and Singletary have very comparable stats. I mean, neither one of them is clearly the favorite at any point. Neither one rushes more, neither one averages more yards per carry. They're very consistently the same, but for some reason they've lost every dynamic in the running game without Zach Moss. And running Singletary 6 times for 17 yards. But you know what truly happened, in my opinion, is when you play the Kansas City Chiefs, you play from behind. And naturally, when you play from behind, you start slinging the ball. I mean, Josh Allen threw the ball 48 times. I mean, that's like Tom Brady trying to dig the Patriots out of holes for the last 20 years. You don't see those numbers very often. So, Kyle, do you think that was the demise? Like, was it the running game or was it, the Chiefs defense? What kind of impressed you from the Chiefs or what let you down with the Bills?
Yeah, a little bit of both for me. It's like you said, you're always playing from behind when you play the Chiefs. It's like there's so much pressure on the offense because you're knowing that the defense and the Bills defense kind of let me down because I was really high on the Bills and I thought this was their moment, like we talked about. And I was like, man, the Bills defense is really good. They're going to slow down to some extent Mahomes, and that didn't happen. Obviously, Tyreek Hill ran all over the field. I mean, that dude is a maniac, both on and off the field, by the way. But yeah, I mean, the Bills didn't have a rushing attack, so then they had to go one-dimensional. You mentioned the 48 pass attempts, and it's like that is a lot of attempts, like you said, for a playoff game. We talked about the matchup with Diggs. I didn't really believe in the Chiefs' defense as much. Vic, I think you mentioned you picked them up in fantasy, or you and Luke swapped or something, and you mentioned how they were underrated, and you had me too because they were I don't think anyone's talking about the Kansas City defense. Maybe they should be talking about it more. Maybe in the Super Bowl they will. Diggs had 77 yards. Beasley had 88. But 77 yards for Diggs is a low game compared to how he's been going. So I think it's a combination. The Bills let me down. But the Chiefs, it's the same old story, man. They're so explosive. And I don't want to believe it, but you look up and you're down 3 touchdowns. It's
well, you mentioned the explosivity of the Chiefs offense. And I think that's, and playing from behind. And that's definitely part of it. They have Tyreek and Kelsey, and those two alone are animals, and then you have Mahomes just doing Mahomes things, and he is clearly the next, or I mean, he's already a big thing. He's a Super Bowl winner, but he is the QB of the future to represent the NFL. I don't think there's any denying that. And you have, then you have Buffalo, and just in normal football, in matchups like this where you have an explosive offense, you need to keep them off the field, and not having a running game does that. Especially when you're going up against obviously an above average defense. I think that those two counterbalancing, Kansas City being Kansas City, and then Buffalo not only having a single point of attack on offense, you can't win like that. It's insurmountable.
Yeah, I mean, so Joe, knowing what Patrick Mahomes came off of, right, with he got rocked. I mean, he was concussed. The rumors of turf toe, which we saw him limping the game before in the divisional round. And then coming into play against Buffalo, who we were all very high on, and they were just getting better and better and better. Are you impressed with how well Patrick Mahomes played against the Bills, Joe?
Yes, definitely. I knew he was going to show up, even 80%. But, 29 for 38, that's really good. Doesn't seem like anyone who has a concussion to me. I think one of the bigger takeaways of this game is how can you expect to win when your leading receiver is Cole Beasley? Not to take away from Cole Beasley, but let's get serious. And then when Luke mentioned on how they just really shied away from the running game, when your quarterback leads you in rushing, it's a great day for Jared Allen, but it's not Josh Allen, but it's not. That's not how you can win the game. The Chiefs are explosive, like you said, Vic. They're frequently playing from behind with them. They didn't do anything to cover Hill or Kelsey. Hill with 9 receptions and Kelsey with 13. They didn't. They were not covered.
Two-headed monster.
Yeah, they're both just so good. And then you randomly, in this game, they didn't pop off as much. I know that's like Kyle's term, but like Pringle, Hardman, Watkins, those guys just randomly get these big gains out of nowhere. Everyone's staring at Kelsey, staring at Hill, and then boom, there goes Pringle for like a 60-yarder. It's like, what the hell just happened? The Chiefs are so dynamic on offense, and people sleep on their defense. When you have Sorensen and Matthew in the backfield, that's got to be two of the best or arguably the best safety combination in the league. They are so good together. And then when you have guys like Chris Jones providing pressure up the middle, they're just a very fun team to watch. I don't know how long their reign is going to last, but I don't see it slowing down anytime soon unless contractual issues come into play. But they are so good.
Yeah, you brought up like the offense, and like Andy Reid had that in Philly too. Like he is a fucking guru with football.
He's one of the greatest coaches ever.
100%, yeah. And to see what he's done in Kansas City and just what that team is, like they are definitely like they have the high potential to be a dynasty. If I had to put money on the next dynasty, it would be Kansas City, hands down.
Without a doubt. And it's funny you mentioned that, Luke. I was just going to bring up Andy Reid. He was doing this with multiple different quarterbacks with the Eagles, and now he brought Kansas City from the Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson era of like, okay, they're 10-6 with a great running game. I can't remember who their quarterback was, and I know it's a kind of a big name.
Trent
Edwards, right? No, Trent Green.
Trent Green, and he had a decent career. But Andy Reid was a playoff legitimate contender with Alex Smith. He kind of resurrected Alex Smith's career in Kansas City.
And then he traded Alex Smith, which everyone thought was like, what are you doing? And
he let Mahomes do his thing, the Texas Tech guy. It's crazy. For me, I was all in on the Chiefs on this one. I knew it was a lock. I just knew the Bills weren't ready, and I'm kind of happy. So I want to ask you guys, just to look forward a little bit, what do you think the Bills need to add to their team next year to get back to this spot? Because if you stay the same, you typically fall off, right? You got to add something. What do you guys think it would be? Is it another wide receiver? Is it a running back? Just real quick, any quick thoughts on that?
For me, it's definitely more of a pass rush. Like their defense struggled this year. I think their secondary's decent. Like they have a pretty decent corner. I think one of the safeties is decent, but like they need a pass rush. They need a star on the edge. And another thing would be running back depth. Based on my interpretation of what happened with the game and the injuries, and like Singletary's definitely fallen off. If they can turn Singletary into sort of like the third down back, scat back, I don't even know if he has that anymore, but like running back depth, 100%.
Yeah, I think you have to find a way to alleviate some pressure from Josh Allen by getting the running game going. And when you look at Singletary and Moss, they play the same way. Neither one is too explosive catching the ball out of the backfield. Neither one hammers the hole. They're both the same exact size. They're both like 5'11", 190. Like there's literally no difference between them. There's no like change of pace, change of nothing. And I just think that's kind of a flaw in their running back scheme. Every single running back will carry 5 or 6 of them on the Patriots. They all run in a different style or catch in a different style, juke in a different style. So I think they got to get more creative. It doesn't matter who's playing running back for the Chiefs, whether it's Darrell Williams or Clyde Edwards or Le'Veon Bell. They find a way to produce a little bit, even if it's just like spurts here and there. The Bills have to take some pressure off of Josh Allen. He's not Patrick Mahomes, and he doesn't need to be to win a Super Bowl. But they got to take some pressure off of him.
Yeah, Kyle, next year for sure.
He should be, but I don't know if he's a 20 carry guy. I just don't know if he's 20 touches a game. And we haven't seen it. I'd love to see it. I think he deserves to get that opportunity for sure. Kyle, Joe, any thoughts on what they need to add to that team?
I think, in my opinion, the Bills are what I thought they were. They were very good, but not, like as I spoke to last week, not elite yet. I think they're a few steps away. More specifically, they had one sack against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs O-line was banged up. So I think, like Luke said, they need a D-star rushing, maybe like J.J. Watt or something. We'll go over there, but I think they need more star on defense, their D-line, and they need another receiver. They have John Brown and they have Diggs, right, as their two guys, but Cole Beasley you can't rely on him forever.
He's a grinder.
Not really rely on him.
He's a perfect slot. I mean, why not though? Like we saw what Tom Brady did with Welker and Edelman and like Amendola. Like if you make Cole Beasley the slot guy and the third option, like that, Cole Beasley's proven that he's freaking dynamic. Like
all I'm saying is like where he is in his career and where Josh Allen is in his is just very far. I think Cole's like 33. So if they add another decent offensive weapon and like a D line, I think they're right there.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that, like, I think, well, unless anyone wants to speak up, we all agree that the Bills season was a success, right? Like, first in the division, lost to the Chiefs, right? So are they the overall, like, unsung hero team of the league? I think it's probably between them and, like, the Washington football team, but for me, I lean the Bills. I mean, you made it this far. You had a dominant regular season, and then you made it this far, losing to right now the Super Bowl favorite. I would say that they are the unsung hero team. They kind of came from the woodworks and really built it up. You guys agree?
I disagree. I think, honestly, the Browns, like what the Browns did after the OBJ injury, the way they started the season, to sort of finish how they did and, like, get that first playoff trip since how many years? Like, forever.
That's a fair point. That's a good one.
I think they're the unsung. I think that, like, they're still up and coming. I think they'll be right in the hunt next year.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Bills better be careful though, because they're a few players away from being right where they were if they lose
falling off
guys on defense.
Yeah, I think they got to add some guy to complement Diggs. I think they're like, I agree with all the points. I think if they can get J.J. Watt on like a bargain, is he a free agent coming up, or would he have to trade for? He's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably got something left in the tank. I know he's like, he gives his heart and soul every play. He's like, we talked about it before, like he apologized to Houston and like the fans because he's like, you guys deserve better. I think he went on like a rant in the season because they won like 4 games and he was like, you guys showing up, this matters. But if they can get JJ on a bargain, that's a really good deal for them, I think, to help with the pass rushing like we talked about. And then, but I think their number one concern really is like a number 2 receiver, so that it's going to take pressure off Josh Allen, because now instead of having Diggs triple teamed, now you got a second guy that's open. So now if Josh can get the ball out quickly, then he's got more options there. So you don't have to have as much with the running game. I just think it's a passing league. And like, I mean, you talked about it, Vic, with the Chiefs, where it's like, you don't really need to have a running back. I mean, the Patriots won Super Bowls without really, like we always joked about how like we had like Lawrence Maroney and like, like Corey Dillon was a great back, but like we had Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, like you can plug anyone in. So
but
I just think
the running game isn't all the running back. You know what I mean? Like the O-line plays a big part of that. The Pats have the O-line, like one of the best O-lines in the league for a long time. I think you need a running game. Like you can't just have a one-sided offense. It just doesn't work because people just load up.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as like wide receivers, you don't need to add anything crazy. Like I think about like a Brandon LaFell type, like a Mohamed Sanu type, like just complements the number 1, and then you have your slot guy in Cole Beasley. But John Brown is just not a number 2. He's just a burner. He's a good receiver. I wouldn't mind him as my 4th guy, but he's just a burner. He's not an 80 catch guy. You got to add some dynamics to that offense for sure. Take some pressure off of Josh Allen. Don't make him try to be Patrick Mahomes. Let him be Josh Allen and get him some weapons to throw to.
They also didn't really use John Brown a lot. Like I know he was injured, but like John Brown fell out of that offense, and then they tried to bring him back late in the season because they needed depth. I mean, if they can try to bring John Brown back and like you said, have him as that deep 4th option and set up a few sets where he runs short routes, and then you can be creative and have
Yeah.
the same set and run them deep and try to trick the defense. I think it would work, but yeah,
Who knows?
definitely need weapons.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a game that the Chiefs deserve to win, and good for Patrick Mahomes to keep that thing going. And now he has the tall task of playing the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers had a huge game. They won 31-23 plus a field goal 26. The most controversial field goal to lose a game in probably NFL playoff history. Let's talk about this one a little bit, guys. So, we've obviously had our text conversations back and forth about, Brady's performance and Aaron Rodgers' performance and comparing the two. And as much as we like to do comparisons, because that's what life is, what's for me, and I'll just jump into it. I think the most glaring thing for me is just Brady's overall stat line. And I've been very consistent in our group text and in any conversation I've had outside of this. It is very unlikely that Tom Brady wins a playoff game with 16 incompletions and 3 interceptions. I mean, he was 20 for 36, 280, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, right? But I think sometimes we forget, even though I say that I wasn't impressed with his stats, we forget what Tom Brady does, and he capitalizes on mistakes. And, when we saw this game, it was the Packers to win, and it just showed the difference between a great quarterback and an elite quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. Tom Brady is elite. You give Aaron Rodgers the ball in a short field, he might score. You give Tom Brady the ball in a short field, he's going to score. And Tom Brady did that. And that's what I think separated that game. Joe, what's kind of your thoughts? And I know you're the biggest Tom Brady fan in the United States of America. Do are you happy with his overall performance? Break it down a little bit for me.
I mean, I don't think I could be happy with 3 picks, really. No one's happy with 3 interceptions. Definitely not in the playoff game. Looked shaky there a little bit, but made the throws that he needed to make at the proper times. The running game wasn't great. 76 overall yards to the Packers, 67. So they both were down. Really, the big takeaways in the game were capitalizing when you need to capitalize. Green Bay at the end there had a bunch of 3 opportunities and couldn't come up. And when you play Tom Brady, you have to make those. You have to score on those opportunities.
I think the Tampa Bay defense outplayed Green Bay defense hands down. I think 2 of those picks by Brady were tipped, right? Like 2 of those picks were bad balls, but they also weren't because they were tip jobs. So and the 2 fumbles by the Tampa Bay.
Was it Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones, twice. Same exact thing. Catching a ball on the flat, helmet to the ball, pops out of his bicep. Like, come on, bro.
It's a good tackle, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's Tampa Bay's defense doing what they need to do. And
Stop. You're a borderline Pro Bowl running back. Hold on to the football.
They wrecked him.
You do it once. You do it once. You should never do it twice. If you're a Pro Bowl, I'm sorry, but
I'm saying that their defense is hitting like that. They're playing with electricity. Like,
okay, let me ask you this: if you're Rex Burkhead or Damian Harris and you catch a ball and you get tackled like that and you lose a fumble, is Bill Belichick putting you in for the rest of the game? Absolutely not. He is a Pro Bowl caliber running back. He needs to hold on to that football. One mistake, okay, it was a great tackle. The second one, you should be butt fucking that football and never let it out of your hands. I don't care how good the tackle is. It's the NFL.
He got benched at the second one for an injury.
Yeah, well, he faked it. My back. Yeah, exactly. So, Kyle, I want to build off I think Luke just said it. He said the Buccaneers defense outplayed the Packers defense. Do you think that? Because I don't. Kyle, what's your takes on the defenses?
Yeah, because of I think the Bucs outplayed them. I mean, you mentioned Brady had 3 picks, but one of them I know, like he threw it up, and I think he was trying to throw it out of bounds, and he just didn't put enough air on it. So like that one was atrocious. The last one to Mike Evans, it went off his hands. Brady was let down by 4 different players. I think they had 4 drops. Mike Evans had a couple really big drops. But yeah, I would say that the middle pick where he threw it up, 100% Brady's fault. Like he should know better than that. But we've seen, it's weird because as dominant as Brady has been, we've seen that really bad interception, kind of like what Drew Brees had the week before, where it's like, oh, you just see it and you're like, why did you do that? But he's only human. But I think the Bucs capitalized. I mean, I agree with Luke's point. I think the Bucs are making those plays, but I can see your point, Vic, where it's like one fumble is okay, but I mean, we're just used to Belichick being like ball security. Like Belichick is different than, everyone else there. But the way that it happened, the 2 fumbles for Aaron Jones, I mean, yeah, he was pretty much out of the game there, but I don't think that was a factor really, because like I think Joe said that neither team was rushing the ball well. So it really came down to the offenses there. I think the Bucs.
Yeah.
What?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the Bucs defense played better. I think it was pretty even, but we did mention.
Facts.
Yeah, I think, Joe, you said that like the Packers had like 3 or 4 drives like late in the fourth to score. I think it was either to tie or take the lead, and like I don't think they got points on any of those possessions. So like I think to me that's the Bucs defense stepping up, and also
yeah, I'm gonna be a little critical here, but it's the Bucs defense stepping up. But if we're gonna call Aaron Rodgers what we call him, 3 consecutive drives in the fourth quarter of the NFC title game, it's not the defense, it's not the coach.
At home too.
You got to score. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. He's still where he is in history, but that's a little bit of a burn on his. You got to score.
All right, so Joe, let's build right off of that. So you're right. He had 3 opportunities to score. Let's go to that last potential drive. 4th and goal from under the 10. I believe it was the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And LaFleur decides to kick the field goal. What would you do in that situation, Joe? Are you letting Aaron Rodgers throw the ball and go for the tie?
I mean, yeah.
You have to, right?
And I look at it from 2 perspectives. One, you're playing the greatest quarterback of all time. The greatest quarterback of all time. Like 2.5 minutes.
Over 2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so you had 3 timeouts.
It's tough, too, because, like, I come from the Belichick tree where the take the points so I can get them, trust your defense to get it back, and then do the little fucking.
So Joe,
Tampa Bay against Tom Brady and that Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So this is the bigger thing. So if you were down 6 and only needed a field goal, that means you get a stop and you only have to drive 30, 40 yards and kick a field goal to tie it. But you needed a field goal and then a touchdown to win it. Like you couldn't even tie the game. So for me, you still it was a touchdown and a field goal or just a touchdown. Plus the 2-pointer, you needed the 2-pointer. It was 8 points. So for me, those are my 2 things. You're playing against Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. He is going to find a way to get that first down, which he ended up getting 2 because of the penalty.
That penalty.
Stupid penalty. Yeah. And then on the back end, you needed a touchdown anyway. Take that risk. You have the greatest quarterback of all time. The MVP. Sorry. You have a great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. And you have, the MVP of this year. Yeah. Let him throw the ball. I mean, honestly, it's all or nothing. When you're Aaron Rodgers, what, 38?
Yeah, I think so.
37, 38, yeah.
Yeah, he's 38 years old. He has 1 Super Bowl. He's arguably the most underaccomplished great quarterback of all time with only 1 Super Bowl. And you're not going to go all out for it? That's just, I'm sorry. The smallest balls in the league is Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, he played.
It's definitely he made a mistake. It's clear. Rodgers knows it. The nation knows it. Everybody knows that the goal was a mistake. But the thing that is more striking to me is that 3rd down right before the 4th down is Rodgers had a line to the end zone. If he runs he might.
I don't know. Have you guys seen that?
Let me finish. He might get 4 yards, but even if
it changes the playbook.
It changes the entire playbook. It's 4th and short. You're going for it.
Devontae Adams on a quick zigzag in and out.
What I want to say on that, the decision why LaFleur did what he did. So Devontae Adams was targeted 15 times. Would he have 6 catches? It seemed like he was very over-targeted. They were forcing it to him at the end. So maybe he's thinking, all right, well, we can't force it to Devontae Adams. He's been doing that. It hasn't been working this half of the game. We can't throw it to Aaron Jones on a flat because he'll fucking drop it. So he's thinking, well, maybe we have to kick it. Well, it's not the best decision.
But you're still in the game. I get it.
Also, Mike Evans is not going to have the game he had. He hasn't all year, and he's not going to have a 2-week.
So, Joe, fourth and goal on the 8. In that situation, are you kicking or are you throwing? Are you going for it?
And it's down. We're down. What is it?
That exact situation. You're down by 8, 2+ minutes left. Are you taking the 3 points, or are you throwing?
I mean, I'd rather get the 7 and then kick the long field goal or something.
No, you don't need the field goal. It was a 8-point game.
Right.
Oh yeah, so
it was an 8-point game. You go for the
so
touchdown.
then are you going for the 2, or you miss and then you got to get it back? Like,
I mean, it's if you get the field goal, you still need a touchdown anyway. You know what I mean? So it's the same result.
So
you go for
Luke, you're going for the touchdown. Yeah. Kyle, you going for the touchdown?
Yeah, I think this was like one of the worst calls ever, dude. He played the analytics, and instead of, he literally like was a stat nerd instead of being like, throw the stats out. Like, you have Aaron Rodgers, you're home in the NFC title game, you're down 8. If you don't get it, then Tampa Bay starts at their own 8, and then you can send pressure and maybe you get a safety. Who knows?
So I'm going to flip the script on you guys a little bit on this exact scenario because I think it's the biggest play of the game. We can talk statistics, but I want to talk scenarios here. Let's bring it to basketball. It's a tied game. You have the ball with 36 seconds left, right? What comes into your mind? The shot clock, time of possession, and how can you manipulate it so you get the last shot, right? So my thought, and the only thing that can make me think of kicking, and I'm on team go for the touchdown, is that if you do get the touchdown and you get the 2-point and you tie it up, guess what? You gave the ball to Tom Brady with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left and you lost anyway. So that is the only thing that makes me think of the fact you get the 3 points, you get the stop, now you have the chance to actually win it and seal the deal. Because given Brady the ball back tied up with 2+ left, the game's over anyway. So it's almost a double-edged sword in a sense. So I'd love to see LaFleur say that. If he said that and he said, okay, we're tied up and I gave the ball back to Brady with 2.5 minutes left, I'm screwed anyway. If he said that, then I'd say, okay, there's some logic in that because there truly is.
No. Still tiny balls. If you want to compare it to basketball, it's like sitting LeBron in a championship game in a game 7 with under a minute and you're down by 5. That's what it is. Taking the offense off the field in that position is giving a possession to the other team. It doesn't make sense.
But if you scored on that possession, you took 4 seconds off the clock, it's tied up and you're giving the ball back to Brady.
But you still have more time. You still have the ability to have another possession.
And both teams had all timeouts leading at the end there too.
Yeah.
The Packers had their chance. Fuck that one up too.
So LaFleur was essentially trusting his defense, which honestly I was like, okay, the Packers didn't get the ball back in my mind. I thought they were. There was a 3rd down. And I think what they do, Chris Godwin ran it, right? Or he got like a little slant across the middle and he ran like 15 yards.
Yeah, and the Packers had the too many men on the field.
Yeah, the penalty.
That's a penalty. That's an undisciplined penalty. That's a coaching thing, leadership thing. Get the fuck off the field. You know?
See, I think what we're forgetting, to your point, Vic, like if the Packers had tied that game, we're forgetting that like it was a Buccaneers collapse at that point because they were up like 18, weren't they? So
that was because of that Scotty Miller touchdown and a half. Like that changed the entire game.
No, but either way, I mean the Bucs were up big that most of that game, and the Packers were going back. So if the Packers actually tied that game, I know you're going against Tom Brady, but all of the pressure goes to the Bucs. And now instead of like, even if it's a tie game, let's say the Packers, they're going to be fired up. Their fans are going nuts. They're going to maybe they send a blitz on 1st down. Brady gets rattled. Maybe Brady takes a sack. It's like, I agree, Vic. Like most likely you're losing that game because Brady will get it done. I mean, you think of the Rams Super Bowl where like, I think Joe Madden says like, yeah, you got to punt the ball here. And he just, like the rest is history. But you never know. I mean, so much of the momentum would have been with Green Bay at that point, where it's like anything can happen, and maybe they get a stop, and then maybe they get the ball. Like, I just think you have to throw all statistics out the window and all probability. I hate these probabilities. I don't like the fucking Amazon next gen stats where they say win probability 0.7%. I don't give a shit, dude. It's the NFC Championship game that you're on the 8-yard line. If you don't get it, then Tampa takes over at the 8. Like, it's
I agree with you. So let's move on to the Super Bowl, and let me kind of lay something out for you guys here and how cool this is. I know we talked about it in the past. So we have the Chiefs at Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers. The Chiefs are favored by, I believe, 3. I think it's moved a little bit day to day. It's kind of crazy to think Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, a 6-time AFC or 10-time AFC champion, 6-time Super Bowl champion on the AFC side. He now went through Drew Brees. He went through Aaron Rodgers. He spent his career having to go through Peyton Manning, right? And now on the other side, we have the next potential Tom Brady. And I don't want to get ahead of myself because We don't like hypotheticals and potentials, even though we can talk about it and fantasize about it. He went through, the Baker Mayfields, the Josh Allens, Lamar Jackson's on that side. He went through the youth side of football. Tom Brady went through the veteran and the Hall of Famer side. And here we are. We officially have the two best quarterbacks in football today. Sorry, Aaron Rodgers, but he did it to you again, so he's getting the credit. Brady versus Mahomes, the two best quarterbacks in football are squaring off. You don't see it very often that the two best quarterbacks in the league are squaring off. 24 years old, the first time Tom Brady won, the first time Patrick Mahomes won. The next year for Brady, we didn't make the Super Bowl. No big deal. He won the next two. Patrick Mahomes is in the Super Bowl. Guys, let's talk about this game. I mean, I'm so – I don't think I've been so excited for a non-Patriots Super Bowl ever. I mean, ever. How could we? We saw 10 of them. How could we be excited for a Super Bowl that didn't include Tom Brady and the Patriots? But I am so excited for this game. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, I could kick him in the teeth off the field, on the field. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Tom Brady, I've had so many, like, the roller coaster of emotions with him. Guys, give me something. Tell me, what are your feelings? I don't want to know who's winning. We're going to talk about that next week. Give me your feelings about this game, some things you're excited about. What are some takes? Who's going to be some X factors? Fill me with some juice. Let's go.
Who's coming back?
I'll go right now. It's you really couldn't lose with you have the veteran side in the NFC and the youth side in the AFC. Regardless, you were going to get some sort of dynamic of that in the Super Bowl. You have essentially a passing of the torch here happening in front of your eyes with Brady to Mahomes. And, this could – you never know, but this could be Brady's last trip to the Super Bowl. So this could truly be a passing of the torch to Mahomes, and it is going to be a phenomenal game. Like, it is going to be so fun to watch. Both teams are the best teams in both conferences. I think you're going to see a lot of electricity from Mahomes. And Brady's going to do his job. Like, he's not going to have those tip balls again. I think Mike Evans is going to come out strong. Like, it is clearly a passing of the torch. Like, I'm so fucking excited for this game. I really am. So I'm not going to put money on it. I'm just going to enjoy it.
Exactly. Joe, I want to ask you directly. So I'm a huge believer, or I wish when we won against the Rams 2 years ago, 13-3, I wish we heard some story after the game from Brady just saying, I went in the locker room and I told the boys before the game, this was it. Win or lose, ride or die, I'm a Patriot forever. I'm all done. Like, I wish we heard that story, and he rode off into the sunset. Joe, if he wins this game, do you kind of want him to hang it up? If he gets number 7, I guess from two perspectives, like from a methodical, great story perspective of going out on top / the fan too. So give me your thoughts.
It's a loaded one there because I'm torn because as a fan, it's a lot.
You want him to play forever.
I want him to play forever, but it's a lot of work, man. These weeks, keeping up the confidence and not sitting down or eating during a fucking game. I haven't enjoyed a Tom Brady playoff game in 20 years. So when he moves on or he's not involved in it, I'm kicking back, relaxing. So, yeah, on one hand, it would be nice to not have to worry about that because he's done and over with. It's set in stone. On the other hand, I kind of want to keep seeing him do his thing. He says he's coming back next year. So, we'll talk at the end of 8, I guess.
Yeah. So, Kyle, Luke mentioned the passing of the torch thing. You're wearing your Brady jersey. You got Brady on the wall behind you. Would you – if it doesn't interfere with the Patriots, because the Patriots will come first, are you going to essentially root for Mahomes' success? Do you want to see greatness even though it's not on the Patriots? Say the Patriots completely fell apart. We're 7-9, not a playoff team. If we're doing full rebuild and they're not even relevant, are you going to root for that greatness, or are you stay away from Brady's legacy?
See, I've talked about this. Number one, I want to bring this up before I forget. I don't want Brady to retire because next year the Bucs are scheduled to come to Gillette, and hopefully we can have fans there. And we need a video tribute. I hope the stadium is full there because I mean, dude, if that happens, you're gonna see a standing ovation for like 45 minutes. Like, people are not gonna sit down for that. And imagine if he's bringing he's not gonna bring the Lombardi there, but like, I don't know if they win it and then he comes as a champion to Gillette, like that would be insane. Probably like one of my favorite sports moments of all time. He's like, I'm bringing the sucker home.
Plays football with 7 rings on his hand the whole time.
Yeah, he just can't hold it anymore because he's got so many rings.
He probably has him on a chain now.
Yeah,
it's unreal. I mean, it's funny because we talked early season about like, you know, we called it like a super team and all this, and then they got Antonio Brown, and that's a huge factor for next week because he should be good to go. And but to see him actually get it, like when those articles came out and it was like 10th Super Bowl, to see that in writing, you're like, what? Like, I had to take him in and be like, I don't understand what is that? And there was a little stat that said like Brady was hurt. Well, his rookie season he didn't play really, and then obviously in 2008 when he went down and Matt Castle came in. He's really had, I think, 19 healthy seasons, and he's been in the Super Bowl now 10 of those 9. Over half of the time he's played in the league, he's in the Super Bowl, and that's just insane.
And if he wins this one, you know, he could have 7 out of 10.
Since it's outrageous.
he'll become the first player in NFL history the first quarterback in NFL history to start and win a Super Bowl in both conferences.
That's impressive too. Yeah.
Because Peyton won. He was with.
I would vote for Mahomes though. Yeah. Like, if the Patriots fell apart, I would still vote for Mahomes. Like,
you'd be rooting for him.
His fiance there is incredibly annoying, but despite that, I mean, he's a great kid. He clearly cares. He's a good teammate.
Yeah.
He has that baseball talent, like Russell Wilson, that sidearm type. You know, he's just a unique.
He's just so fun to watch. He's so fun to watch.
I'm kind of jealous.
You want to root for greatness, like regardless of where it is. Like, you can't stay away from it. You can't shy away from it. Like,
and you can't control what happens. You must just watch what happens.
You guys know that line in Anchorman where Vince Vaughn is like, Will Ferrell's on the ladder and he talks to him and he goes, man, do I hate you? But he's like, but goddamn it, do I respect you? That's how I feel about like Pat Mahomes. Like, I don't like Pat Mahomes. And I'm kind of like a jealous, like an ex almost, where I'm like, stay away, like you said, Vic, stay away from Brady's. Like, I don't want to see that, but I have to respect it. Like, I watch him play it. I'm like, you're so good that I have to, like, I can't just turn a blind eye to it.
So I want to give you guys one more hypothetical because, you know, I'm on Team Brady. Like, listen, when I was betting against him this year, it wasn't necessarily against Brady. It wasn't ruling Brady out. I just truly thought those teams were better than the Bucs, right? So it's not like an against Brady thing. But I want to ask you guys, say the Patriots this year were 12-4. They had Matt Stafford, whatever, a legit quarterback, and they're in the Super Bowl. They're fun to watch. You like the Patriots again, and they're playing against Tom Brady. Who are you rooting for?
Oh, my God.
Be honest.
I don't know.
My brain would explode.
I really don't know. I'd have to go.
Tell you. I'll tell you right now.
Go. Who are you voting for?
This is the thing. My sister asked me this question over the weekend. She said, are you a Tom Brady fan or are you a Patriots fan? I'm a Tom Brady fan because he's my hero, whatever, most favorite athlete. I want to see him win as much as possible until he's done. But I'm still a Patriots fan. I'm not a Bucs fan. I'm a Tom Brady fan. I want him to win. But when he's done and retired, I go back to just being a normal Patriots fan.
Well,
I have to follow him.
This was the controversy to start the season, right? Is like who's gonna win the breakup? Is it gonna be Belichick and Brady? And like it's clearly Brady right now. Season 1, like quick turnaround. He's in the fucking Super Bowl again.
Yeah, I don't look at that. So I have one other question for you guys. We've seen kind of both defenses step up, right? They're both pretty legit. Last week's game just barely – it did make the over, right? It was 54. I'm trying to remember. I'm looking right now just to double-check myself. Yeah, 57. Yeah, they covered the over. So I want to know – it's the same exact number, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's 56.5 right now is what I have it at. Is this team going over, or is this going to tighten up like most Super Bowls do?
I think it tightens.
Yeah, I think you have to fall that way, even though you look at these two offenses and they're both so explosive. It's like it'd be crazy if that did, but I think both defenses are so afraid of the other offense that like the defensive coordinators they're not going to sleep for 2 weeks. Like they're all going to be like ripping their hair out because they need to. It's just, man, if you look at all the, I mean, we're forgetting about Gronk too, where it's like, dude, we always talk about the Chiefs and like Kelsey and Hill and all that. But then you forget about the Bucs, and it's like, yeah, Gronk isn't what he used to be, but it's like,
look
dude,
up Gronk
it's still
Super
Gronk.
Bowl stats.
Mm-hmm. You also have Gronk, like great. You have AB, you have Mike Evans, you have.
It's stats.
Brady played well last week. Didn't Brady have a touchdown last week?
Who?
Cameron Brady.
Yes, and he had another huge catch as well. So it's funny, just bringing up the score thing, the Patriots' highest score in a Super Bowl in the Brady era was 34 points, and that's when we came back from 28-3 at halftime and won 34-28. So, I mean, that was kind of an anomaly. You look at, like, even the Rams, who had a high-powered offense, a good defense, but they had a good offense.
13-3.
And the Pats, 13-3. I mean, these games historically tend to tighten up. Last year, the Chiefs won 31-20. So the over-under, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm not sure which way to lean. 72% of the public money right now is on the over. So naturally, I fade the public. So I'm going to take the under. But it's going to be – it could go either way. I mean, any of these big games can go either way. It's crazy.
I would rather see the over, honestly, because I think it is going to be. But I would love just some nuts, especially like the way 2020 went, like the whole year. And into 2021 now, it's like I would love to sit down and just like watch two offenses just go off, and like just like what's going to happen next. So
the complete opposite. I loved the Rams-Pats Super Bowl. I loved it.
Oh, really?
I loved the defensive matchup.
Well,
it was so like
it's like a hockey game.
Yeah,
it's like the next score could literally win it.
Yeah.
When it's like that, it makes it very intense.
For me,
yeah,
it's very intense. I'll say less exciting, but more intense.
Yeah, intense. Keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
But listen, boys, that's pretty much it. Listen, next week, you guys got one more week to sit on this. I need score predictions. I need your winner next week. No bias. Joe, stop touching your hat. I know you're tipping your hat, telling us who you're voting for.
Tipping your hat.
Just adjusted my hat.
But next week, guys, we are going to give you our score predictions. We're going to tell you who's going to win the game. We're going to take one more week to let it marinate a little bit, see if anything happens, watch some injury reports. We're not going to give you our takes this week. But, guys, thank you for watching Road to 55, Episode 4. We are going to give you more information on the Super Bowl next week as we get closer to the date. Make sure you watch it. We got Chasing Rings coming up as well. Thank you for watching, guys. Road to 55. We out.